Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this new episode where we will see a lot of new interesting things that happen on the market and why the market moved in that way. So, we have conducted very strong and deep analysis on the on-chain data that we will share today with you, and we need to know why the market did take that move and such, in such direction. So, let's have a trading session and why did crypto decline? Let's not have panic. Let's analyze the data and let's see everything together. So let's leave, as always, those 10 seconds, 30 seconds that everyone is gonna join. You guys can use the chat inside on the platform to interact with me. So please use the chat to ask anything you want. And of course, if you have any type of question, there is the question and answer button just under the button of the chat. So you can interact with me anytime you want, and I will reply you directly. So now let's start directly and let's see what is our program and who am I. I am Francesco Britti. I am graduate in financial and international business. I am passionate trader about Ethereum and I trade Ethereum since 2017. I worked for eccentric companies, so I have had a lot of technical data analyst and a lot of new developments that I had to learn over my career. But my passion brought me back to the blockchain, and I'm really a heavy analyst on data, and I like to analyze trading strategies as well. So today we are gonna see the charts. How did they move? Why they moved in that way? And of course, what caused this movement? With we will back our data with on-chain data analysis, and we will also analyze the news that influence the market. Of course, as I said in the beginning, there will be the question and answer moment, so you guys can start typing them whenever you feel to have a question, so that we can save the question and then put the question on the screen because many other people can have the same question. So now let's jump directly into the market and why the market moved in that way. So we had a different, point of controls in the market, and we want to see, as traders, that these type of points are very important to analyze on the chart because this is what has been identified couple of times, during this parabolic movement up. So we have seen that there's been, a flag creation. So you can see that there is a straight partner of bull flag creating between the 71 and the 61 and the $72,000 zones, so as which we identify them as support and resistance, and we actually broke them during this week. And this is pretty clear because we need to analyze also liquidation. So as good traders, yes, we do watch the chart. We try to analyze and use our technical and our classical analysis, where you put trend lines, support, resistance, but we need to know where the market is gonna get that liquidity. So of course we need to analyze liquidation levels, and that's very important. As you can see here on this image, there is a lot of different horizontal lines that are colored in different type of gradients, and the lighter the color is, stronger is the liquidation, so there is more money in the market. And as you can understand, and you have probably noticed, the market tries to catch liquidation zones. So that's why the market sometimes stops in specific zones, and we as traders analyze those zones as support or resistance, but that's completely coming from because of the liquidation and open orders that are set on the market. So as far as we have seen during this week, there has been a lot of liquidation in the market. The market went down, and there are several reasons why that happened, and we will see them together because we have conducted a really strong analysis on why the market moved in that way. Really important for you to analyze as traders is, of course, the chart that compares Ethereum to Bitcoin. And that's very important because shows you more or less the dominance, of the two assets between them. So it shows you how strong is Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. And as you can see here on the chart, we drew a line, that green trend line that you can see at the end of the chart, and that actually is the resistance, that has been created over time. That if we want to see an altcoin season and we want to see some type of great movement in the market, of course, we need to see that trend line being broken. So now the chart is still below, so the altcoin season is still far away from coming, but we are approaching, that type of movement. So, of course, this is one of the most important charts that you always need to take attention and keep under your radar. And one of other interesting chart is, of course, the total market cap. This is the total value of the crypto market, and as you can see, it's 2.2 trillion. So we are talking about, trillions of dollars, not with a B. So it's not billions, it's not millions, it's trillions of dollars. So this, crypto world, it's growing every year, and we see that also on the total market cap we can identify really strong zones that we need to pay attention. So as the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, always keep attention also the total market cap chart. Whereas in this one, you can see this is total market cap excluding the biggest one, so excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as you can see, doing a technical analysis, we can see that over the period of 2019, 2020, and 21, a double bottom has been formed, and after that there has been a resistance zone that acted like that before the 2021, and after that resistance zone has been broken, we had that parabolic movement that everybody is waiting for. So we are here, to analyze how to learn from the past, how to learn from the data that we have, especially the on-chain data, to try to not predict but to understand how the market could move in the future. So in the future, if this uh, let's say setup is gonna repeat itself, but always keep in mind, that this history, it's not something that we can be sure regarding the future. So historical data cannot predict the future somehow. So we learn from history, but we don't know if that's going to repeat exactly the same, because history never repeats the same. So we can use this type of charts to understand if it's a good time, to enter the market or to keep holding or to exit the market. And right now we are forming that double bottom. We broke the resistance zone, and we should approach to the next, parabolic movement. But of course, this is not financial advice, and nobody can know where the market is going to move. We are here to analyze data and try to understand how it could react. So, as we see here, I brought you a very interesting, cheat sheet, and this is the psychology of a market cycle and how the market should move. So there are different phases in the market before we approach to those parabolic movements that we want to see. And as you can see on the right side, there is the path to Bitcoin. So the first phase is the Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is gonna go parabolic, is going to increase in price. So of course, a lot of capital and money is flowing from Bitcoin to the second asset, which is Ethereum, of course. So once we see Bitcoin start to pumping, we will see after that Bitcoin start retracing, and Ethereum and all other large caps, coins and altcoins will start their move on the upside. After that, there is the third phase of the large cap, and after that, the money flows into the altcoin season. Therefore, all type of small projects, a little bit, less famous, could have that type of interesting movement as well. So we need to understand how the cycle moves for us to use that at the best as we can. So if we know more or less how the market is going to move, this is data from the past, we can understand how it could move in the future. And on the left side, you have this cheat sheet which shows you more or less the psychology behind the movement of the market. So when we are in a bear market, we're in an anger, disbelief, depression, and we don't have any hope or positive hopes towards the market. Whereas when we approach to, better market movements, especially on the upside, we have different phases that they are called optimism phase, belief, and therefore then it ends to the euphoria phase, where the market is going parabolic since some time and everybody's entering the market. So now for us, it's very interesting to compare the psychology with the real market chart. And this is very interesting to notice that somehow this can overlap and show us the moment in which we are. So I try to do that. And of course, this is not something that we can take as it is. This is not, of course, that something that we can be sure about in the future. But if we approach the psychology and we mix it together with the real chart, we can see that there is some type of similar movement between them. And as you see right now, after the halving phase, we are in that phase of a little bit hope and disbelief after this leg down that just Bitcoin made, and of course, all the crypto market made. But don't panic, of course. We need to analyze the data and see if this type of movement is going to bring us, therefore, in a bear market where we have to be a little bit more patient, or is just a retracement of the market because a lot of people is taking profits. Bitcoin did already a 3x. So those who bought Bitcoin are 15, 16, $20,000 or $30,000. Therefore, when the ETF has been launched, and if you remember, when the ETF has been announced, Bitcoin was trading around $35,000. So people that now see Bitcoin at 70,000, 60,000, they can, of course, they can start selling and get their profits. So is this, just a retracement on the market, or are we entering in a different phase? And to understand this, we need to analyze on-chain data. And here we brought you some really interesting data to analyze and to know as for future reference, and how to move for future type of movements. And you have to analyze and take in account how much is the percentage of the total wallet of Bitcoin, of course, in profit. And when you realize that when the 90+% of total accounts of Bitcoin are in profits, you will realize that a lot of people are in profit, and therefore they will probably take those profits off the table. So therefore, the market could bring us in a retracement phase. And this is actually what is showed you in front of you. So the left side is, for all the life, let's say the lifespan of Bitcoin, and you see how much percentage of Bitcoin were in profit, and it's the yellow line. So the yellow line is the amount of percentage of wallets in profit. Whereas in black is the movement of Bitcoin. It's the Bitcoin chart. And as you see, every time the yellow line, so the percentage of accounts in profits, touches the red box, so therefore it's the higher level, 90% more of wallets in profits, then we see some type of retracement. We see some type of movements to the downside. But of course, we are still far away from that phase of reaching the lowest part of the graph. So a lot of people are in profit, and we can see it also from the sentiment of realized and unrealized profit. And we can understand that we are in a phase where a lot of people is in a belief phase, and that they are starting to take profits out of the table. So of course, we need to understand if these type of profits are going to affect us on the long term. So we have seen that on the market a lot of people is in profit. There are some news that are happening, but how are the long-term holders moving? And we can see that the long-term holders are still accumulating Bitcoin. So there is not that phase of the market where also the whales are scared and they start selling, panic selling. But this is just one movement that came from, specific type of wallets that we will see later during this live, because the German government sold a lot of Bitcoin on our support of Bitcoin around 60,000, and that's why we crashed down even more. So, but we will see that together. Now, let's still focus on the on-chain data, and we can see that more than 25-30% of Bitcoin are, let's say, uh, lost or in some type of inaccessible wallets. And as you can see, that number is pretty big. It's 7.2 million of Bitcoins are now inaccessible. What does this mean for our supply? That it probably could create a price shock. So in such sense, for the long term, having also this huge amount of Bitcoin inaccessible can have a good results for the future as a supply shock. So today, we need to know if this, let's say, bull market, bull run, call it as ever you want, but I call it, a very positive movement for the market, if this zone is gonna end or if it's gonna continue. And we can use the MVR Z score. So the Z score is an indicator on the on-chain data that lets you understand if the price of that asset is fair to its value, essentially. So if I am buying this type of asset, what's the value of the asset? So if I'm buying, for example, a bottle of water, how much is the value of that bottle of water? For example, let's set it to $1. So that bottle of water, the value is $1. Whereas if I am in the desert, of course, that the value for that water grows even more. So I will be willing to pay even $5 to $10 for that same bottle of water. So this is what actually the Z-score analyzes on the on-chain data. So makes us understand if the value of Bitcoin and how it is perceived, it's fair to the price that has on the market. And right now you can see on this screenshot, and I want to use this other, of course, type of image, which is a little bit bigger, shows you that every time we approach the red zone, that's the maximum peak that we perceive as, value of realized value of that asset. So of course, when we are gonna reach the red zone in this type of specific indicator, the Z-score MRV, we will realize that that type of asset which grow in price has reached the maximum potential of the value that is perceived from people. So when Ethereum will reach that type of amount, or Bitcoin will reach a specific price target, we will see the Z-score touching the red zone. And I can really assure you that that will happen because this is the fair value compared to the price that we perceive as traders and as investors. So the graph you saw before was Bitcoin. Now what we're watching is the Ethereum chart. So where the blue line is the Z-score, so it's the value perceived on the market, whereas the black line is the price of the Ethereum chart. So we see that red zone, it's still far away from our blue line. So as perceived value, Ethereum needs to grow more for us to perceive it as maximum. And here comes a really important, and I believe nobody actually talks about this, and I don't really know why, because it's a really important, let's say, let's call it indicator, even though I don't like to call them as that, because indicators usually are used for charts, but let's call that in that way. And this is the true hash rate on the Bitcoin network. So this graph here shows you the drawdown of the hash rate, and as you can see, the hash rate dropped, and that time when this happened, and happened only one time before, and this was during, after the FTX market crash. So what here on this graph is shown that each time you see these red spikes, there is a really difficulty, in the hash rate. So therefore, on the mining, let's say, system of Bitcoin. So whenever this happened and it actually collapsed by 7.6%, was after the bottom of FTX. So right now we have the similar current, similar drawdown compared to the past, and this actually happened after the halving. So this actually shows that the market, every time this happened, the market actually recovers because miners, are not profitable by mining Bitcoin at that rate. So somehow Bitcoin needs to be more profitable. And how you can have that profitability? Only if the price of Bitcoin actually grows. So this chart is pretty bullish, but of course we cannot take this data as certain because we are traders, we are smart, we are not people that want to give money to the market. So we will use this data to back up our analysis. So the analysis that you made, you need to back up them with all the data you can find around. And now let's see why the market has moved in that way. What influenced the market lately? And as I anticipated a little bit before, Germany was selling more Bitcoin, around 170 million on a specific, you know, price level, and that was our support around the $61,000. And as you can see here, also the federal criminal police officer transferred over 4,000 Bitcoin valued at $25 million to public exchanges, to Coinbase and to Kraken. And what actually happens when you sell when you sell a lot of capital, a lot of liquidity on an open market, that you can cause a price shock. And that's actually what happened last week. Or and we can see that the Germany was selling more Bitcoin, and as you can see here, we actually went to tracking those type of wallets, and we can see the German government sold 400, 400, 500, and you can read them on the chart. I don't want to go over one by one, but I put a red box on the most important ones to the open market. So what actually this caused, and we can go back to track the market, caused a crash on the market. So we saw Bitcoin actually touching 53,000. And you know what happened later? That actually the German government bought them back again. So somehow they made a type of movement that caused a crash in the market and then a small recovery, probably because they wanted to buy more at a less price. So always be careful on the market, because anything can happen at any time. So it's also fun, as I reported on the left side, as Justin Sun has announced his willingness to buy all of the German government's remaining Bitcoin of the market to minimize the impact of dumping. Because if you don't know, I'm gonna tell you, you can sell also Bitcoin on the OTC market. So it's called like that, when you sell Bitcoins without selling them on the open market, which is a closed market. And that happens especially when there are large amounts, that can impact the price of the asset. And therefore, there are different entities that can do that. Of course, it's everything official, and it's a technique that it's usually done by large corporations. And we went to analyze the wallets and how did they move. And as you can see, this is the purchase back of the German government, of Bitcoin. So they sold at 61.59K, and they bought back more or less for the same amount. Then of course they were transferring, and it's difficult to track every movement, but they bought back uh, a lot of dollars to Bitcoin. And it's very interesting to see here on this slide. And here is, the full picture of actually the type of movements. And you can see, there are two wallets of the German government, and one of them is on the left side. Guys, I'm watching on the left side. So the German government first, it's linked to all other accounts, whereas you see on the right side, there is another account which is linked to all other exchanges on the market. And you can see there is, all names, Bitstamp, Kraken, and you can see all of them there. So it's very interesting how these two wallets are connected. They sold some parts on the open market, then the other account went to buy them back to then combine them. So this is also what happens sometimes in the market. We need to always pay attention, and study the data. And that's the reason why we study data, because then we know why something happened, and we can more or less understand how it can move in the future. So somehow, knowing this, knowing that the German government did such type of movement, we can understand that this is not such of a panic dump, because it's a single news. It happened because of a selling pressure. So this type of market movement has been caused by a type of you know trading that cannot be done with such huge liquidity. So of course, looking at the charts, we can understand that this type of dump, it's something that cannot go on for much more, because it's not a catalyst that happened, and it's something irrevocable. For example, if the Lightning network of Bitcoin doesn't work anymore. So of course, we always take this type of movements in consideration, as well as an hacker moved more than 30 million Bitcoin to another market to dump those tokens on the open market. And this happened to a Japanese exchange, DMM, which suffered over 300 million of worth of Bitcoin lost. So somehow this type of things happen on the market, but there are also very positive things. For example, JP Morgan, started to let's say put pressure downwards the payment of the empty gox creditors. So there was also this type of news, and as you can see here, we have the official paper, where all creditors will be paid back by the empty gox that happened in 2013. So of course, there are more than 142,000 bitcoins. So we are talking of billions of dollars that will be given back to the owners, and probably since they bought bitcoin at a really cheap price, and that we are talking about of hundreds of dollars, probably they will sell on the open market as well. So there is also this thing to keep always in mind, and to know how use that data to actually analyze the market. So we have seen, how to make technical analysis, and we will see now on our app as well. But what I want to bring you attention is to the liquidation, to the point of controls, and of course, use yourself also some type of indicator to also try to see where the market is moving somehow. So we will jump on the application right now, because it's interesting to see how easy it is to use that, and to actually use the charts on your holder as well. So let me jump quickly on the charts. So guys, let me know if you see the screen. Of course, as always, use the chat. So here is our application, and we are, oh sorry, let me put that in English very quickly. Okay, now everybody can see and understand. So as you can see, this is our wallet, and right now I am using also the yield account, which gives me around 12% on USDC and 5% on Bitcoin. And this is very useful because I can, put my capital in staking, and in the same time, I can go and open a trade. So that's very useful tool from YieldHoldr. But what we want to see right now is to see the charts, to see where we are, and to use that data in our favor. And guys, of course, it's impossible to predict the market, but now we know a little bit of more data, so we could analyze a little bit more the direction. So as always, I do suggest to use some type of indicator. So as we just saw in the slide before, and a very interesting indicator is the stochastic RSI, which gives you more or less times in the market where we are approaching peaks. So we had this parabolic movement on the upside. So I will just analyze that for you quickly. And I want to analyze where are my support and my resistance points. So it's very, as we have seen in the previous slide, I can identify this zone as my support zone. I can identify a lower zone on the chart where actually the chart touched multiple times. So I can see that on I can see that the chart moved on the upside, then we had this week on the downside. So let's take that in account. So this is a first touch on the downside. This is the second extension. This is another one. So in this way, we are finding all those type of zone where the price actually reacted many and many times. So that's how you go and find quickly support and resistance that are useful for you in your analysis. And you can identify this type of other box that we are gonna change. Let's change this in green, so for us it's even easier to understand that whenever the chart went down and touched this support zone, actually the chart went back up. So it happened here once, and the chart went back up to our resistance. Then it tried again, but then went down to our support. So it got energy, it got liquidation, it got money, and then the chart went up again. So this last week we have seen a similar phase, and this is actually what happened, with the German government selling off and a lot of news, some empty gocks as well, giving the money back to their creditors. And this is actually the movement that caused those news on the market. So right now we are approaching back to our support, and what we have to understand is it gonna go up or is this thing gonna go down? Of course nobody knows, and I cannot even tell you if that's gonna happen because I don't have a crystal ball. I would like to, but out of the data that we analyzed, we can see that there is also a strong support here, since we have the chart that touched multiple zone and stayed here for more time than we actually seen on different time frames on different sides of the chart as well. So we see that here somehow the market, we have to understand if this type of support, this type of resistance that previously was a support is going to hold our chart down to the downside. So in that case, if we are not going to break this type of resistance on the upside, then the chart will stay here in this type of consolidation zone. So it's very important for us to understand that right now our chart is in this type of zone here. So we are not on the 61 and 72 anymore. Now we are on a different zone, and we need to understand, if this resistance is going to hold strong or if the support is going to hold even stronger. So to do that, we need to go and analyze the liquidations and where the bigger amount of money is, if it's at 60K or if it's, for example, at 53,000. So this is something that we need to analyze, and we also did put this indicator that show us the peaks on the market. And you can see here when the stochastic RSI touches more than 80 and goes even to 1992, we had like the maximum, whereas here we had the minimum in the market. Now we are approached to let's say an overbought phase. So because it's an overbought and an oversold phase, so whenever the market it's overbought, we need to go back to the equilibrium. So I as movement, I would expect it to still range in between this channel, because we are in this type of channel right now that we can also identify. And guys, look how it is useful and very comfortable to use the uHodler integration with TradingView. We have all the type of instruments that we do need for our analysis, and it's really, really, very fast, very immediate. So right now, let me get also the regression trend, because I wanted to show you in a different way. And as you can see here, we are in this type of channel. So unless we are gonna exit one of these ways, we cannot actually identify a real direction. So this is more or less the market that we are seeing right now. So we are in this range we call consolidate here, and we need to break one of either the resistance, either the support, to either get a direction on either on the upside or on the downside. So I hope you all appreciate it, and this is of course the integration that you can use here on the downside on TradingView. Whereas if you want to see the graphs in a classic way, you can just click classic. So this is very important to use, of course, when the market it's very difficult to understand. To use TradingView, it's very useful because it gives us the analysis, and we always can keep our analysis on the application on our account. So therefore, let's go back to the last data before we do jump on other type of arguments and news. So let me get back the slide just 1 second. And if you guys have any type of question, please use the chat on your right side, or if you're on on a telephone, you just need to find the chat box, and you can type any type of question or curiosity that you have, or if something is not clear, of course. So here we see, the Germany buyback. We have seen JP Morgan putting pressure to empty gogs to give um, bitcoins back to their creditors. We have seen also a demo on our platform, and we did an analysis, a pretty fast analysis, but we don't have actually a clear direction right now, so it's not very easy to predict the market. As you can see right now, here are positions of our clients, and this person did a short on Bitcoin USDT pair, and he entered with $1,100 and he exited with almost $2,000. So he did a 75% profits. And actually, where did he start his trade? He started at 64,460. So he was on a good level of price movement, because the market was going down. The client probably identified that trend, and he did close the trade at 61K. So actually, where we have seen the support zone. So we did the analysis a couple of seconds ago, and if you remember, at 61, there were a lot of touches of the chart where it actually went back. So congratulations to this client that actually performed a really good trade on the market with actually a low multiplier as well. Because, sorry if I go back, the multiplier is 16. So actually, um, it's in a middle range. I think that a multiplier more than 20, it's very, very, very risky. Generally, I do use a multiplier as a 10. So real congratulations to that client. But for now, I want to remind you that there is 100% deposit bonus on the deposit that you make. So if you deposit, for example, $100, you will get $100 on top of your account, and this promotion is up to $500. So of course, use this promotion and use these funds, to increase your expertise in the trading side, because you can use this bonus on multi-hodl. So whenever you want to trade any type of pair, remember that there is the 100% of bonus on your deposit. So whenever you deposit, will be doubled instantly. And you will see that there is an icon on the platform that will tell you, you have tot amount of bonus in your account. So of course, if you guys have any type of question, now it's the moment to do them. You can see the image where you can write questions, and I can put them on the screen. So of course, if it's a question that more people have, we will be very happy to reply all of them. So I'm gonna give you, of course, a couple of minutes, and just let me know if something is not clear, or you want to, analyze something a little bit more, or if we want to see some different on-chain data, and let me know if this material, of course, was useful. So we can also, interact and telling me, yes, this type of on-chain data I didn't know. It's very useful to actually analyze why the market did those type of movements and where we are right now. So if whales are selling, if retailers are entering the market. So these are very important data, I think, as trader and as investors to know, because, also, for example, the Z-score that makes you perceive the value of that asset on the market. It's very crucial, especially when you approach, on the bull season, or, for example, in the bear market. You never know when, the fair value is achieved for that specific asset. So if you guys, of course, don't have any question, I'm really glad and happy that you came, and I do recommend you to come and join us the next time, because we will see, of course, more and more this type of interesting data and analysis. So I'm gonna still wait a couple of seconds. If nothing comes up, then I'm really happy and glad that everything was clear, everything was interesting, and that you will use, this type of knowledge to add to the things that you guys are doing, of course, improving daily on a daily basis on these markets. Okay, guys, it's been, I think nobody has question right now. So I want to thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And I hope we're going to meet the next webinar. As always, I suggest to follow us on our social media, on Instagram and on YouTube, because on YouTube soon we are starting also to make analysis and to analyze the market on a weekly basis. So I really suggest you to follow that, because that type of content is going to be really useful, as updates and to be updated on the market as always. And I do suggest to follow Instagram, because there are a lot of promotion and a lot of interesting activities that you guys, of course, can join. So you can use the phone to scan, or just go on Instagram and search YouHodler, and on YouTube, of course, the same thing. So, guys, I want to say thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm going to see you the next time on the next webinar. Bye bye.